You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Not to be a backseat driver, but can you say for sure you got the best monthly payment possible on your auto loan? Could it be that you might have gotten a better deal by shopping the loan at a few places and have a lower car payment? Next time, before you go car shopping, visit Communication Federal Credit Union first. Our auto loan experts will find you a perfect loan and get you the lowest monthly payment we can. Communication Federal, your auto loan experts. Restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you. See you, see you.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised. The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cocktail Lounge. I am your hostess with the mostest, Aggie, and with me, as always, is the affable and quaffable, ever suave, Brad Slager. How are you doing this evening, Brad?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself? How's everything in Texas?
It's quite a bit chillier tonight, and I'm recuperating. So...
are you now? What has you under the weather?
Oh, I'm fine health wise. I had it was my it was time for my mammogram, and I had that done. And as always,
Okay. You had the boob smash. I can sympathize.
yes, and it was a little. I It's funny because the hospital where I went to before moving up here, I always requested a male technician, and nobody could figure that out. And of course, you walk into the mammogram clinic and it's all women, to make you feel comfortable because you are going to be handled. Your upper pectoral area will be handled, okay? But I always requested a male to do the handling. And finally, one of the female techs asked me why. And I said, because they don't know what it's like. So they're a lot gentler than you guys are. And she was like, oh, yeah, after a while, we just think it's not a big deal. And we just treat it like, a sack of rice or something. And she said, you're right. We should be
Bag of
a little
sand.
bit more. Yeah. But the thing is, your breast tissue is being sandwiched between two plates, and it's being sandwiched hard. It can, there to the point where it can no longer be pressed down any further. It's not just a little bit; it's completely. And unfortunately, I am not very endowed, so they have a difficult time trying to get all of my mass done. On top of which, I'm a candidate for the ultrasound as well because I have, much to my chagrin, I have an issue. I have cysts on either side running down from my shoulder all the way down to my hip on either side, and I have cysts, and they're fluid. They're full of fluid and everything, but that they always have to watch that. So I had to have that done as well, and she was not very gentle. She was not gentle at all. As a matter of fact, I actually yelped and I said, please be careful. You can pop these. I know because somebody popped one before. And it was painful. They could not, and the worst part is they can't give you anything stronger than Tylenol. So I was in excruciating pain for like a week. And so I had to tell her, they're not full of fatty tissue. They're full of fluid. So you can't pop these. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I was not aware. I'm like, does nobody read my chart
Isn't it her
before
job to
doing
know?
this? It was incredible. So, and it took longer because they were short staffed due to yesterday's really rough weather. And so I had to wait quite a while, and I did not I left here at 8:30 and I didn't get home till about 3:30. So it was quite the long day. But you know me, I stopped at a thrift store and snagged a lamp. So it was worth it.
All right, then. There you go.
I know.
Imagine my surprise that they allow to have male technicians in this field.
The thing is, they normally do not, but I kind of pulled rank and I asked for one, and I did have a chaperone as well. So, and men are trained in case there is an emergency, there's nobody there, and if there's a chaperone and it's okay with the patient, they can do it. So it's not just women that are trained to work the machine and have to learn too. So it wasn't a. But
I'm going to chalk it up to poor career choices on my part.
Never too late.
I suppose so.
But yeah, that was my day.
Fine.
And how is yours?
I'm just gradually getting through my end of the year crap. So I'm like, I can see the end of the road for all of my 2023. So I got a time management is just an issue. I got none of it right now, so that's something I should probably fix. I'm probably going to have to work on time management once New Year's comes around.
New Year's? Wait, what?
That was the joke.
I get it now. I'm sorry. I'm in pain. Okay. My tacos are bruised.
I'm going to have to turn on the laughter/applause sign for the rest of the night, I see.
Yeah, you do. You do. So.
Just put out that meme where the guy's throwing the toy at his dog and it keeps hitting him in the head, but they've superimposed the word joke on it. I love that one to death.
We need the please clap.
Mm-hmm. Insert joke here. But yeah, it's all going well. I'm having like fond remembrances of the year that was, having fun. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that dipshit said this. Oh, that's right, those idiots pulled that up. One of my favorite, still all year. I just put it in my my final awards segment over at Red State.
Oh.
When CNN had a full panel of people analyzing what it means when Jack Smith went to Subway to buy a sandwich. I mean, it was just remarkable journalism. Jack Smith is sending a message to Donald Trump. What? No, he ordered a turkey club, you dipshits. What are you talking about? Yes, this definitely sends a message to Donald Trump that he means business, and without saying a word, Jack Smith ordering a sub has delivered all the context. I mean, they were literally going. It wasn't even I first saw like the transcript, and I'm like, okay, this is a gag for lunch or something, right? Right? And then I watched it. They actually had been tipped off that Jack Smith was going to Subway to buy a sandwich. So they had a camera crew on site. And they recorded him walking out, and they asked him a few questions, and he wouldn't answer because he's so confident in his case against Donald Trump. This $5 footlong that he purchased is an indication of just how serious he is about it. And I'm watching this amazed, like, you people, what? So
they were serious. That was
they first had his like exclusive breaking video on CNN. Jack Smith is out in D.C. today buying a Subway sandwich. We saw him. Like, who gives a fuck? What are you talking about? And then moments later, 7-person panel analyzing this. I just love it so much because it's just that insane stupid. And they spoke to the reporter. Well, I couldn't really tell if he bought a 12-inch or a 6-inch. It was hard to tell if it was a foot long. And the interesting thing here, Dana, is that from his office to this location, there are 7 other sub shops he could have chosen, but he went to this one. The flying hell are you doing? What the? I mean, it just, I have to sit back and laugh at this stuff. I love it so much.
It's almost like, you're driving down Main Street, there's a Starbucks, and later on there's a Dunkin' Donuts, and after that there's a Shipley's Donuts, and you actually skip Starbucks and Dunkin' to go to Shipley's. And you get excoriated for picking that place instead of the first one you come to. People have
the very
preferences.
fact that he went to a Tim Hortons indicates that Donald Trump is in severe legal troubles, and he needs to up his game with the legal team because Jack Smith is not playing around when he orders his latte. I mean, what the flying hell is... Big mystery why you guys are in third place.
Yep. But,
that and one of my other favorite stories was when the Daily Beast broke the story that America's Real Voice, the network where John Solomon is at, they broke the story that his interview with Donald Trump was actually fake. And then they spoke to the CEO of the network, and he was so upset about it that they're instituting new journalism standards at Real America's Voice to prevent this from happening again. Only thing, John Solomon did, in fact, talk to Donald Trump. And the Daily Beast, with this report, they got hoaxed. They were not speaking to the CEO of the network. So their report about a hoax tricking John Solomon was actually provided to them by a hoax. That's just amazing to me. Like, you couldn't write that. So their report of a fake interview was actually real, and their fake interview really happened at the same time. It's just amazement.
Incredible.
This is why I love what I do. I
Well,
find these nuggets.
I know that you had every time you do a roundup for the year, it's several columns that you have to write. And I mean, it blows my mind that I start reading them and I was like, this was just last year? Because there's so much crap that happens in between. You keep thinking, oh no, that had to have been at least 5 years ago. No, it happened last year. I mean, honest to God, the whole Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light thing was just this past year. I mean, I'm like, I thought that was like 5 years ago. But even now in January, you would think that it would be a slow month. Oh no, it is starting off.
I've been not quite lax on my column because I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm still compiling. But yeah, there's been a few already that have been gems this year. I mean, we have the AP declaring that the Harvard president being fired is all from the right wing conservative weapon
called plagiarism.
Plagiarism is a weapon from the right.
How plagiarism has become a weapon of one political party is blowing my mind. It really is.
I mean, there's been a number of pundits coming out, not like saying things you would expect normal people to say, like, plagiarism's not good.
I mean, I don't understand how they can be defending anybody that has committed serious plagiarism. Now, there are several levels, and anybody in writing can attest to that. There's a certain level that is acceptable, but what she did was not. It goes past the serious point.
Yeah, I mean, there's gray areas. Like, for instance, when you invoke, like aphorisms that have been around for a while. Takes the truth all day to get its pants on before a lie travels all the way around the world, or something like that. I mean, that's just a famous phrase. But if you don't attribute that, is that plagiarism? It's just that's a well-known chestnut everybody uses from time to time. So yeah, I can understand there's like those instances, but this is a woman who has produced in her entirety of scholarship only 11 papers, over half of which have plagiarism in them. They are up to 50 instances, 50 instances of her plagiarizing from 20 individuals. So this isn't just like an oops, slip up, oh, I forgot quotation marks here, oh, I should have footnoted that. No, this is regurgitating other people's intellectual property.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen side by side paragraphs lifted from other papers, nearly identical. There's probably 30 words or so, and she transposed like 4 of them to make the phrase kind of sound like her, but the rest of the bulk of the content is somebody else's. And I've seen people say, oh, this is nothing. Oh, everybody does this. Bullshit they do.
Nope. Actually, I can attest to when I was in college, several decades ago, one of my, side hustles, as they are referred to now, I used to proofread a lot of papers, but I also looked for possible instances of plagiarism. We didn't have computers. We didn't have the internet. It existed, but it was not something that was available to everybody. As a matter of fact, there was only one place on campus that had computers. It was called the Crystal Palace, and there were 10 computers, and they were huge. So, it wasn't like we could go look up and do a phrase search like people do nowadays and everything. You actually had to go to the card catalogs. You had to go to all of the reference books and stuff like that and make sure. And it was hard work, but it was worth it because it was a serious allegation. You could lose your job. You can lose your the entire effort that you put towards your PhD could just go down the drain with just one allegation that has been proven correct about your plagiarism. It was serious, and now people are looking at it going, "It's not a big deal." No, it is a big deal. It's a big fucking deal. There should be no excuse, especially with every resource that you have at hand to be able to catch any plagiarism that you might have on a paper. She doesn't have an excuse.
No, I mean, she's, again, she's a president with a very scant body of work. I mean, she's, before she was president, she was dean for quite a while. She's been a professor there for quite a few years. She hasn't produced much.
And which I find kind of weird because professors are told publish or perish. That's a common trope in academia, Yeah,
it's it's expected. And yet, this is yet another example of how this is a woman that coasted her way to the top. Because once you get under that shield of DEI, then you're not allowed to be criticized. You're not allowed to be looked at objectively. It's, you turn something in and it's got your name on it and they, oh, okay, thank you. Yes. And, you get credit before it's even read. Clearly, I mean, this is the case. This is what's been taking place with her.
Well, it has opened up a really big can of worms. And
the DEI program there really seems pernicious because it's led to this, and it's to the point now where the entire school is looking horrendous. And this is the weird thing taking place over the weekend. Christopher Rufo has been one of the voices behind this push, behind the plagiarism expose, if you would. It began with the New York Post in October. And then when she got in trouble before Congress, Christopher Rufo kind of accelerated it and started pointing it out. And then the Washington Free Beacon really got into digging into her papers and really analyzing them. And this is why we're up to 50 instances now. But they resent the hell out of Christopher Rufo for doing this. Oh, wait a second. He's a Harvard graduate. One of their own. Oh, wait. No, he's not. It turns out he got his master's degree from Harvard, but he was in the extension program. And that doesn't really count. And therefore, he's not really one of us. So, yeah, for him to say that is wrong. I mean, they're literally arguing this now.
They're trying to delegitimize his work, his education.
Yeah,
because
they're making it sound like he went to community college or something. It's like, wait a second, he went to Harvard. He's got a Harvard degree. Well, yeah, but it's an extension school. And anybody that actually went on campus and attended classes in Cambridge know that the extension students just don't really, they're not the same. They're not us. And I mean, there's Harvard graduates saying this. There's Harvard professors saying this.
But Harvard itself says, no, it's our school. It's that our degrees say Harvard.
I saw one professor. She says, I have taught at the extension school. And yes, they're good students and they're very well applied, but it's just not the same as on campus. Okay, well, you dim bulb, you just denigrated yourself if you really listen. Because if it's Harvard teachers and professors teaching Harvard classes to Harvard students, how do they not count? Like, what do you give them like half your lesson plan?
Yeah, it's actually, it's like having an online courses or, courses for people who live in Germany, who are stationed, in the military, who, are not there, cannot live in the area, and yet still qualified to go attend. I mean, it's a really good. I don't know. It's the same. You're just not on campus. That's the only difference. So what I gathered from it is like, oh, you need to attend in order to get the full experience. And I'm like, you know what? I know people from Harvard from when I went to Texas A&M, and let me tell you, I'm kind of done with that experience because they were so snobbish. Oh my God, they were.
Well, the other one who's doing it too is Tom Nichols. He's saying like, yeah, like I've taught at the extension school, so I should know, and they are not the same as being on campus. Like, yeah, if
well,
you were
of course not. They're
if
not
you were
the
the
same.
professor, then yeah, that's
it's not the same as being on campus. It's not on campus.
But they're
the
trying
quality,
to say the education is
the
different.
education is, the courses are on par, and that's all that counts. And this is why they're trying to, they're just.
But that's what floors me is it's the same professor saying, I taught at both, and the second one sucks. You taught it. I mean, what does this say about you then? If his master's degree doesn't count because it came from you, then I'm sorry, you suck.
I know. Yeah, they do.
I mean, actually. Jesus, it's like being a chef in a restaurant and making fun of somebody's dinner. Oh, look at him over there eating that hamburger. Where'd they order it from? Well, our kitchen, but it wasn't. It wasn't off the pre-fee menu. It was on. I'm sorry. Did they order the hamburger from your restaurant? Yes, they did. Did they spend $70 on it? Yes. Then it's an awesome burger. Or you're a shitty chef. Pick one. Can't be both.
Well, it has definitely, like I said, opened a huge can of worms, because now there is a new brouhaha that has been going on stemming from the Claudine Gay issue at Harvard, and it involves MIT. And it has taken a life of its own. It is.
What would this be?
I don't know if people are familiar with who Bill Ackman is. He is he is the Pershing Square CEO. He's a very well-known hedge fund manager and a very wealthy one. His estimated worth is about $4 billion.
The boy's loaded.
Yeah, he's got fuck you money, but this is a guy who has Pershing Square Foundation gives money to a lot of causes, to include Planned Parenthood, trans rights, inclusivity projects, things like that. He is very involved with everything that's going on, and he is not a conservative by any stretch, but he is a very big proponent of freedom of speech, and has always felt that hate speech must be protected. So he has a few quirks that don't really put him into the leftist camp completely, but he's still left of center. Okay. Now he is, he's also, in case people have forgotten, remember that letter that several undergraduate student groups at Harvard signed condemning Israel after October 7th? And that they said, they hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all the unfolding violence, and the people of Gaza are innocent, and blah, 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 all this crap, right? Well, Bill Ackman was the first guy to say, I want to know who these kids are. He wanted to know the names, and he wanted to know the names because he did not want his company to ever hire anybody that had signed on that letter or that felt that same sentiment. Bill Ackman is Jewish. His wife is Israeli, okay? And that is another can that just got opened, okay? So he comes out of that, and so several other CEOs like I think Jonathan Neiman and Jake Wurtzak, all of those decided, yeah, I need to know who those people are because I'm not hiring any of them. Right. So he was the one that first started that. That's how he came into the limelight in the brouhaha last year, in the last quarter of last year, I should say. And, but because he is a very firm believer on protections of freedom of speech, he was very instrumental in getting rid of gay as president. He was very vocal about it. Okay. And he graduated from Harvard. So he was already saying, yeah, all that money that I was going to give to Harvard, yeah, you're not getting a cent. You are not getting a cent until she's gone.
Well, I
And
think
he
I
wasn't
just
the
saw
only one.
that somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion have been pulled from the
Yes.
university as a result
Yeah.
of her, by him and others. But
Well,
it's just indicative of how much damage she has done in such a short period of time. I mean, she's been president for just
and the
over a
thing,
year, I
and it
think, but
wasn't
she's been
just
there for a
her.
while.
The University of UPenn ended up resigning, but now the president of MIT, Sally Kornbluth, is under pressure to resign as well, because she had a lack of stance during the hearing, and his wife is a PhD graduate from MIT, and she taught there for 10 years before leaving to found her own research company. So her name is Neri Oxman, and she is a brilliant scientist and artist, and she combines science and art to create these beautiful things. And she's an amazing, researcher in her own right. So because of that, Business Insider gets involved and starts, sends us a message. They're on vacation over in Europe somewhere. And somebody at Business Insider sends a message saying, yeah, you have allegations of plagiarism on your PhD dissertation. And we're about to publish in an hour and a half. Can you give us, whatever? Well, they don't.
This is so damn typical of the media too.
They literally had an hour and a half to research her dissertation in the middle of nowhere where they have spotty Wi-Fi. So she couldn't even bring it up. But she was like, if I committed plagiarism, I need to know about it because I don't recall that. I don't remember seeing any of it. So so Business Insider goes after her. It turns out that their source was someone at MIT. Okay.
Typical.
And then on top of that, you have Ackman. He went after the chairman at MIT, Gorenberg, because Gorenberg committed tax fraud against MIT. And Ackman found out about it, showed the proof, and now, things are becoming clear why they're targeting his wife. Then come to find out, this is the most beautiful thing, they accused her of plagiarism because she used Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not a source that you can use when you are writing papers at MIT. Well, her paper, she wrote that paper 4 years before MIT put in the rule in place. So basically, she wrote that, and what she used from Wikipedia were definitions of her terms. So she wasn't actually quoting anybody or anything. She's basically in the clear about this plagiarism stuff. But what really pissed him off was that people that he had a lot of respect for in journalism were calling his kids to ask questions. And he got pissed. And now he says, scorched earth, basically. He has decided, nope, you all picked on the wrong guy. We just wanted everybody to adhere to the rules. You guys decided to play dirty. I got fuck you money. And so
here's two things going on with the media right there. That's becoming commonplace more and more. The first is this practice of pre-writing an article about somebody and contacting them last. Like, you get all of the dirt and everything lined up ahead of time, and you basically write your piece and it's done. And then you contact them for comment.
Mm-hmm.
And always the case. We have a hard deadline in a couple hours. So if you could, it's like, well, hold on. How long you been working on this? It's like, if I'm the subject of the piece, shouldn't I be the first phone call, not the last, and not against a deadline, no less? I mean, I've seen this repeatedly taking place. They always do it with the politicians too. The Ron DeSantis people are great at exposing this. It's like, yeah, I just got an email from a reporter with a 2-hour deadline to come up with statistics about stuff from the last 5 years. That kind of crap. And one of the beautiful examples last year, the Miami Herald went to them and said, how come there's only 3 arrests with this new immigration law that's apparently useless but racist? And you've only arrested 3 people. And his press secretary is like, no, they've been a lot more arrests than that. It's like, well, according to the Florida Highway Patrol, they only have 3 arrests. And he's like, you realize there's more than one law enforcement agency in Florida, right? That are allowed to use this law. And then they were getting like bitchy and snippy in this exchange. Like, he printed it all out and put it on Twitter. And we're like, we know how to read. And if you have more information, then you could give it to us. It's like, so you want him to do your job of investigating. He's like, okay, I could probably find out. There's this one police department that had 23 arrests, according to this article in the Miami Herald. Then it was like after about 8 or 9 of these exchanges, he said they went radio silent after that.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
But this happens. Dave Portnoy, that episode he had with the Washington Post, that was so beautiful when he contacted them about their hit piece. It was the same thing. They were contacting all these other people, all these vendors for his event. Do you know what a horrible person he is? Do you know that he's done this and this and this? They spent days doing it. Like he said, people that are coming to my event have got these emails all week long. Nobody's talked to me. So he called the reporter up and smoked her. I mean, I cracked up. She was evasive, and she's like, well, I wasn't really prepared for this. And he's like, well, how come? I'm the subject of your article. You should have everything. I'm the guy. Ask me questions. I'm here. What's up? And she's like, well, I wasn't prepared for this. He's like, if you've been writing this for days, how are you not prepared to talk to me? Who the article is, my name's going to be in the headline. Figure I'd be a fixture, right? And the hilarious thing is his video of that exchange, it was like 10-minute phone call. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I think it got close to 50 million views just on Twitter alone. Like, I don't know about their video account or YouTube account and stuff. I guarantee probably 9 times as many people watched the video than saw the article. It's because they snuck it in. It came out at like 7 p.m. on a Friday when nobody's reading the news. They do that. This is constant. The other thing they're doing, this is a newer one. I might have to start a new category in my column. I call it revenge investigations, because the story is Claudine Gay and her plagiarism. Shouldn't that be the focus?
But the target is Christopher Rufo.
Yeah, but it's like, so there's your story. Go investigate that. No, they're going after Ackman's wife.
Yeah.
This is what's motivating them to do research and investigations.
And
this happened with
the weird thing was Business Insider was saying, well, she's a public figure. And Ackman is like, no, I'm the public figure. She is so protective of her privacy. Most people didn't even know she was married to me until this happened. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I thought he was still with his first wife. I had no idea he had married her in 2019. I was like, whoa.
But here's the thing, though. How is she the story? How is she a focus of the story? Why would they investigate her and not Claudine Gay? That's the thing. They keep saying, well, there's no plagiarism here. Well, how do you know? Show us. Give us the examples that disprove it.
Oh, I like that term. Look what MD wrote in the chat. Revengestigations.
There you go, Burke. I might plagiarize that.
Well, give proper attribution the first time and then take it.
Well, if it comes up later, I'll just say I'll have to go back and put quotation marks or something.
Yeah.
According to M.D. Campbell in his chat room, footnote 57. That's good stuff. They did this with the Biden investigation. So, like the GOP House members are investigating and coming up with evidence after evidence after evidence. And the media keeps telling us, oh, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Have you looked? Because every time I turn around, they're belching out more documents, more transcripts, more phone call messages. There's stuff here. AP came out with a story. We found out about some sketchy financials involving offshore corporations of James Comer, who's investigating Joe Biden. It's like, why aren't you investigating the president? Secondly, if a shell company is bad, and this looks bad at James Comer, don't it look bad for Biden? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
what do you...
He's a serial plagiarizer.
Well, that too, but him and Hunter the family has a number of shell corporations. So if James Comer's, the funny thing is, it was like him and a business partner. They had like 160 acres of real estate or something they put in the shell. He owns like 16,000 acres.
Right.
Like this minuscule amount they put in a shell corporation for there was going to be a business deal. They were doing something as an LLC. They weren't hiding anything. The guy owns like a third of Kentucky. But there's one tract of land that they're going to have a business purpose for, an LLC. Oh, this is outrageous. Joe Biden's got millions he's pocketing from his kid. How about that? I'm just, interest there? No? Okay, moving on. Fuckers. This is just what they do. I mean,
it is.
Oh, you're going to investigate him? We're going to investigate you. They get so pissed off. It reveals everything. It cracks me up. We're not partisan, but don't you dare come after the people we like, or we're coming after you. I see. You're not partisan. Got it.
Well, like I always say, I post this every so often on Twitter. The fourth estate has become the fifth column. I actually had to explain that term to several friends of mine.
Oh, do I have to note you when I use that?
No.
Okay.
You can take it. You can note me once, and then after that, it's yours.
Brad Slinger's been using this quote from his podcast partner unattributed for years now.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Please come after me, you fuckers.
It's amazing because it's people your age and mine, we remember what the fifth column was, but the generation after us was not taught that. So it gets, some people are like, fifth column, what are you talking about? That kind of thing. And I'm like, you know what? You're the Wikipedia generation. I'm sure you can find it on Wikipedia. Oh, well. Anyway.
But it's been fun. I wrote today, too, of another episode with Claudine Gang that's come to life.
Oh, yes. Yes. And most excellent column, I must say.
While she was president in her short tenure that just came to an abrupt close last week. I love too that you said she quit on the second so she could put 24 on her resume.
Well, it makes sense, okay? I mean, that's why you would do it.
It's like, I'm sorry, I would have bailed out at like the 28th when everybody was off work and not paying attention to anything and been gone. It's like, whatever, remember that Claudine woman? What happened to her? That would have been me. Now it makes sense. But while she was there, she actually formulated a task force. I love that. Not like, an interest group. No, this is a task force. Their job was to comb the campus and look for offensive signage and names and such based on DEI principles. Because, Harvard being a 400-year-old institution, there's a number of names across campus, names of buildings and such. And maybe some of these people have a questionable past, according to today's hypersensitive, judgmental nonsense. Like, oh my gosh, can you believe some of the founders had slaves? Yes, I can, because pretty much anybody with money back then had slaves. I mean, it's just a fact of life. I, as an uneducated Ivy League non-applicant, I've come to terms with this. I can mentally accept the fact that people owned slaves in our past. I don't agree with it. I don't think it was right or all of that, but happened. And so now they want to actually curtail the amount of whiteness on campus. Like they'll go to certain hallways and they see pictures of past historical figures of Harvard's past, and almost all of them are white. All of them are men. Yeah. It's Have you in any of the history books in your voluminous library, have you checked into what life was like around here 300 years ago? You know, like women barely able to go to college in general. What few black people there were had no means and no education. Yeah, that was the reality back then. Yeah. I can understand this. But here's the thing. Somehow these evil, horrible, deplorable individuals built Harvard up into this esteemed institution of learning that everybody reveres and managed to have a black woman ascend to its presidency. What's the problem exactly? But this is, this is what DEI is all about. It's not they claim it's, we want to make open opportunity for everybody and even playing fields so that people can get into this and we can have a more diverse and going forward. All they do is look back and all they do is tear down.
Well, that's the, that's the first rule. Erasing history.
I mean, what's the productive measure of this? Like, what if they take names off of buildings? It's not to produce
anything. It's to stop the production of things.
But I mean, she even said that they're doing this in the name of social justice. What injustice is served by having a plaque on the side of a brick wall?
But there's nothing. Social justice doesn't exist. It's just pablum. It doesn't.
I know
exist.
this. I'm putting the challenge to the people voicing this.
For her to say it, it's just basically covering her ass. That's all she's doing. She is just racist through and through, and she didn't want the white people there, and she wanted to take them down. That was it. That was her motivation.
She's pandering to the DEI crowd, to the BLM crowd, to the activists. This isn't about education, innovating people, building them up. This is about striking down the historical aspects of the school and making it into her own version, like her Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't, the whole issue of Harvard being so revered is because it's so old and because this higher institution was so entrenched in learning and education. And that's how it got here, not with this emotional bullcrap. But people come on campus and they don't feel welcome and they don't feel like that this is an open institution to people that look like that. And grow up. Okay. Somebody owning slaves 400 years ago doesn't impact the way you feel walking on campus today. I'm sorry. If you do feel something, you're trying to. If you see William Penn on the side of the building and you can't even.
Oh, no, do not get me started on the whole William Penn thing. I was going to talk about that tonight because I was so pissed off over it. I cannot tell you how upset I was.
But this is what it comes down to, is that they always try to accuse white people and such in this country. You're just denying our hateful existence and you don't want to face the facts of slavery. You want to pretend that this horrible existence was never here. Yet they're the ones tearing down the history. They're the ones getting rid of monuments. They're the ones removing history. They're the deniers. I'm just fine talking about slavery. I have no problem whatsoever saying, yeah, it was bad. And it shouldn't have happened. Well, that was the way the country operated.
This is what I don't understand. The same people that are like, I'm here on this campus and I see these white people and blah, 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 don't recognize the fact that they're on that campus. That would not have happened 400 years ago. But they can be there now. They have come that far. Things have changed that much, and they don't see it. They don't see it anymore. It's not,
Well,
it's, you know.
well, here's I can't even call it a cruel irony, the stupid irony. I have to listen to Claudine Gay talking about oppression and lack of opportunity and this. She, A, grew up privileged, B, has far more wealth, power, educate, you name it, over me. I don't
Mhm.
understand the oppression.
And
When
I'm trying to
I
figure out how I'm oppressed. People
put
tell me
me
I'm
in her
oppressed.
position, please, I would take it. Give me her money, her fame, her
Hmm.
education, put me in charge of Harvard. I'll take that. I mean, just don't mind me when I walk down the street to go watch games at BU when they play hockey. But
I'm still trying to figure out. Some people say that I'm oppressed. They keep saying that my people are
yes,
oppressed, and I'm like, I'm
this is my
sorry, I
favorite. Yeah. When
I
white
don't
people
feel
are
oppressed.
offended for others, I
Yeah,
just
it's always white women. I just don't get it. I'm like, yeah, and beta males. I'll put that out there. Beta males too, but mostly white women tell me that I am oppressed, and I'm like, I don't know where you're getting your information from. I'm fine. I'm not oppressed at all. You don't recognize your oppression, and I'm like,
you're in denial of how oppressed you
I'm
are.
like, how do I not recognize what doesn't exist? I am not oppressed. I can go into any establishment. I can go into any store. There is no place that is close to me, with the exception of men only clubs, which, by the way, I will defend until my dying day. And I'm like, I don't understand. How am I oppressed? I don't understand it. And we were in a discussion, and this was when my account was really small. I think I had like 28 followers, maybe. I was like just starting out. This was back in 2015, I think.
Your third day.
No, it was like my third month or fourth month or something like that. I didn't have that many followers. And so some lady actually told me that I was oppressed and did not recognize my oppression. And she found out that I was Puerto Rican. And I was like, I'm not oppressed. And she's like, well, your denial is really hurting you. And I'm like, how am I oppressed? Who is oppressing me? And she said, white culture. And I'm like, I live in it. I'm married to it. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't get it. And she could not explain, but she kept insisting that I was oppressed. But she would not tell me how. She would not give me examples. She would not back up anything. She just felt so much that that was true that reiterating it was the only thing that she had.
Well, quite frankly, Aggie, your denial is racist.
Oh, I guess so. I don't know. I have no idea.
I just sit back right now and I'm just marveling at how this is unraveling. We're seeing an institution defending plagiarism. We're seeing journalists defending it.
And this is the scary part. There are students that are watching this going, oh, so it's okay now. It's fine to do it. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. This is theft. Plagiarism is outright theft.
Well,
And
it's
people
also
don't
educational
recognize it.
fraud. I mean, you're
Yes.
turning in a false paper. You're
I'm
submitting
like,
work that is not yours, not proving your worth, not proving what you've learned. This is why you get bounced off a campus if they catch you.
when I was it was my last year. I was about to graduate, so it was my last semester, and I was helping with two dissertations, and we were doing the work and everything. And one of the professors comes in one day, and she is steaming mad. She is beyond angry, and she slams into her office and slams the door so hard she cracked the glass on the door. And we were like, oh man, I wonder, because several of us would sit down to, review the the paper and whatever. And we were kind of like, oh, she mad. We're going to leave her alone because we don't want to get involved because we don't want to know. You know, she came out like 30 minutes later and she said that she had to talk to us. And okay. And she said that she just discovered that one of her students that she was sponsoring for their PhD had committed plagiarism. And it was on a grand scale. She was so upset because this reflects also on the professor, on your sponsor. It's not just a reflection on the student that's, you know, turning in the dissertation. It's a reflection on the professor as well.
Sure.
And she was like, this person has just completely flushed their career down the toilet. They have wasted 3 years of my life. And now they have nothing to show for it. And that, you know, she was telling us we had to be very careful. We had to do this and we had to do that. And she was like going to review everything that we were reviewing. She was so upset about that. This person did lose everything. They lost everything. 3 years, all of the money that they had invested in their education, gone. And
yeah, it's like I wrote today. I said that, you know, in education, this is the third rail. Plagiarism you're doomed normally. Used to be.
It used to be that it
And
was
now
so egregious that it was, you'd rather go to jail than commit plagiarism. That's how bad it was. Because at least in jail, you can finish your dissertation and turn it in.
I mean, it just staggers me to watch this playing out. They're so entrenched in their narratives and their social standing. They have to protect that at all costs. So standards, rules, all of that just gets chucked out the window.
Jeff brings up a really good question. How many have been kicked out of Harvard for plagiarism? And he wonders, are they going to sue? I would.
Yeah,
I would certainly sue. I might lose the suit, but at least it'll bring it to the attention of the rest of academia, you know?
Well, just don't use Michael Cohen as your lawyer. Where he turned in a legal brief that was written by artificial intelligence.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I mean, that's just fabulous right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I got to calm down.
Well, did you, since we probably should hit this, since pretty much the centerpiece of our show, I watched the big game last night.
I only watched the last 5 minutes, and that's because it was podcast night. Jeff and I had Spirited Books, so I was not able to watch the game, but
that's
I watched
right.
the last 5.
You're a reader.
Yeah, I do read. I can hats read. But I heard it was a really good game, and it was kudos to Michigan. Kudos to Michigan. I'm sure that place exploded.
It played out basically as I expected. I said the entire thing was going to hinge on Michigan's defense. If they could perform well enough against that vaunted offense, that was going to be the key. And they shut them down for the most part. And, I mean, the rest of it was just typical Michigan. They ripped off something like, I think, 3 runs of 40 yards or so. Just first quarter, it was just carving up that defense on the ground. They said that Michigan gained more yards running in the first half than Washington given up in any game all year long. So that kind of spelled doom right there. Their defense, Washington's, which was not up to par. And I think that they have over 300 yards running. Just amazing.
Well, people were yelling, "Go Blue," and they did.
Yeah.
Blew them out of the water.
So, like the Huskies kind of put things back together around the second quarter. They started to get into it. And then in the third quarter, it just really it was loggerheads. They just, neither side could really do much. And then in the fourth quarter, it just became a game of attrition. They started hitting Penix, their quarterback, And he was in obvious pain. The last 10 minutes of the game, that guy was just miserable. And he was missing receivers all game. There was one play in the first quarter I think could have turned the entire game around. It was a 3rd and long. Guy wide open, nobody even near him, and he completely missed him. And that would have kept the drive going and probably, tied the game, I think, at that point, and would have been a crucial play, I think, and missed it. And I think that was the crux of it all. I think Washington's offense at one point, they went 13 third downs in a row without converting. So that kind of tells the story right there. Just Michigan never trailed, controlled things, and then fourth quarter it was all them, and well-earned championship, I'll have to say.
Yeah, it was. Those last few minutes were quite cool to watch. So, I kudos to Michigan, and I'm sure that they will be partying for at least a month.
Yeah. I think Al could probably skip work for a couple of weeks and nobody would even notice.
Nobody would notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, do we still have those vehicles? Who cares?
Nobody cares. We're still champions. Yeah, I know. That is funny. But, it was, from all accounts, it was a really good game. So that was, everybody enjoyed it. My sister, I was looking at her Facebook. She was posting status after status about the damn game. And I'm like, you didn't even go to Michigan or Washington. Why are you so excited about this? But, she's a big football fan. So.
Oh, well, that'll do.
But
yeah, it was it was an entertaining game for the most part, and yeah, they just basically the Huskies wore down by the fourth quarter and it was over. So they're the champions, 15-0. I think they're only the fourth school to ever go that route. Pretty amazing year, even though they cheated. I know people are out there saying that. I still don't understand that scandal. If you're stealing signs, that means you're doing something good. I mean, you're picking up on something.
I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, you know what? Let them figure it out. I just don't care anymore. But
yeah, it's like, how is that really against the rules? I thought that was just a thing. You try to call plays. They try to figure them out. It's up to you to hide them. It's up to them to figure it out. They figured it out. How dare they? Well, maybe don't say one or two to call plays. Come up with something a little more complex. Non-binary signaling might be the way to go. Just going to throw it at you. But I don't get it either, but there you go. Now our NFL playoffs have been established. I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Miami's trying to shit the bed here after a
glorious
start to
that
the
game.
season. But I kind of had a feeling, to be honest with you, but it's just the way it goes. I mean, I think they lost 3 linebackers in that game.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And last week we lost one of our top defensive backs for the season, and they're piling up at the wrong time. Like Buffalo lost a crap ton of guys early on too, because by 5th or 6th week, everyone's like, "What's the matter with Buffalo?" It's like they lost everybody. How about that? I mean, they lost Micah Hyde, who's one of their star backs in the defense. They lost their top run linebacker. I mean, Matt Milano's out for the season, probably half of next year too. I mean, that's a huge loss. Either one of them, both is brutal, and it's just on and on and on. So they kind of fix things. Miami's going through this crap now, so bad time to go through this. But no, it's it's going to happen. Miami, if Miami had won Sunday, they would have had home field advantage. They would have played Buffalo again, in fact. But now they got to go on the road to Kansas City. I think they got a chance, though, because the Chiefs have not looked like themselves the last month or two, really. I blame Taylor Swift.
Listen, I blame her for everything. Everything. I'm not even joking anymore. Everything she's like Yoko, but with talent.
Yeah. It was just kind of funny too. I was out, because we went to the game and I'm out there tailgating with people that don't really know me. So we're pre-game, we're doing analysis on who we could play, who we might play, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I kind of like the favorability. I like the idea of the Chiefs coming here because, their offensive line is a little bit spotty. And, Kelsey, if you double team him, he's kind of a non-entity. And I think, strategically, this could really benefit us because, oh my God, Taylor Swift is coming.
I know it has gotten really bad now.
But I say this, and one of the guys is like, no, Miami would be going to Kansas City. Dude, I was just, whatever, just throw me a beer.
The thing, I was, for some weird reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's because all the devices listen and whatnot. I'm scrolling through social media and one of the little videos pops up and it's her. And she's reaching down to do something. So I decided to play the video. And what she's doing is she's wearing these boots that are completely blinged out. Okay. Like my booties, but imagine these over the knee. Okay. So she reaches down and takes off the heel. And that's when I noticed that the soles are red. And I got pissed. I got so mad. Because that is a level of fuck you money that I could never achieve. For those of you who don't understand why I'm so angry, she was wearing a pair of Christian Louboutin boots that he made for her show. In other words, nobody else owns this pair. And they cost, I'm going to say the last time that he did something like that, the boots were not as tall. They were not over the knee. And they cost about, I want to say it was like $8,000. Hers were over the knee. And so I'm assuming a little bit more than that. And she just reaches down and tears off the sole and the heel, okay, and throws it out. And I think somebody caught it and decided to auction it off for charity or something. I think that's what happened with it. And of course, it brought in a lot of money because there are so many Swifties out there that will just pay money for anything that was hers, right? But I'm like, that is a level of fuck you money that I nobody can understand. It is one thing to be Bill Ackman, a hedge fund manager that's worth $4 billion and is now using his resources to bring down academia for cheating and for not following the rules and everything. That's fuck you money I can understand. When you destroy a work of art because you're not comfortable walking in it, that I don't understand. Yeah, I just don't get it.
Well, because they fit better now, so whatever.
But, she wanted to be comfortable when she's out there entertaining, so I can understand that. But, girl, you could have asked him for flat-heeled boots. That would have made more sense than, getting these 4-inch heels and then just tearing them off and throwing them to somebody. But, yeah, I
can just hear that phone call, too. It was like, yeah, could you put Lewis on? Because these shoes he made for me, suck. Whatever.
But, Christian Louboutin actually does design for other performers. Like Dita Von Teese has a collection that he has made just for her. And, there are, she was showing them once. I think it was an interview or something, and she was showing her shoes, and Christian has made these for me, for my performances, so those are the only ones that were made, and they were made just for her. And I'm looking at these shoes going, they are so beautiful. Never mind that one of the world's most gorgeous women is standing right next to the shoes. I'm looking at the shoes.
Yeah, I was like, tilt your chin up a little bit.
I know. But, he does that. So, but most women who have that done and pay for that privilege take care of their shoes. Here's Taylor Swift just destroying because she wants to be comfortable. So I don't know. She has become a very big distraction for the Chiefs. So I don't know how that's going to pan out.
I don't know. I really do. I think it's more distraction for the broadcasters and the audience at home. But
Whatever. I don't pay attention to her, but
yeah.
ever since the
Well-
shoot thing, no, she's dead to me. But go on.
So here's my question. What'd you do for the holiday this weekend?
What did I do for the holiday this weekend?
Yeah.
You mean for Epiphany?
No. The national holiday, January 6th.
Yeah, that's Epiphany. Oh, no. You mean the federal holiday. I observed Epiphany.
The Democrat holiday.
Actually, I was quite entertained online by a certain individual who decided to take a dip in Bass Pro Shop. Honest to God, I had forgotten it was January 6th after that happened.
Honestly, I mean, you would think, I mean, over the last couple of years, I was like, tuned into it. Like last year, I was laughing. The first anniversary, I can't believe they're celebrating this fucking day, these idiots. Yeah, the first time it was just hilarious because you knew what was going to happen. There was a couple days buildup, and then on January 6th, CNN and MSNBC did round the clock coverage of it. Like literally from the morning shows until prime time. January 6th, full on. What year again today? That kind of bullshit. Both networks saw their ratings take a dive on that day. Mm-hmm. People were tuning in. They're like, oh, they're still at this? What the hell? All right, whatever.
No, and it was the same on Twitter. There were several Congress members that decided to take to Twitter and have these huge threads about January 6th and what a threat it was to our democracy. And I'm like, the longer the thread, the more it is sound and fury signifying absolutely nothing. Thank you, Bill Shakespeare. I got to give tribute to that one. But it was just...
I've heard that before. Okay.
Yeah, William Shakespeare. And by the way, William Faulkner used it on the title of his book, Sound and Fury. So there you go. But he attributed it. I can tell you that much. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them, and they just kept going on and on and on. And I'm going, look, this guy without a wing. I just blew you all out of the water, okay? We're more interested in him than we are on you. But that was great. I think it was American Barbie that said, a guy with the best part about it. I can't even say it.
I'll take over. Yeah, she said that the best part is, well, I should probably explain. If people haven't seen it, I'm pretty damn sure most of our
Everybody's
crowd has.
seen it.
Yeah, some, I assume, drunken fool, probably from Florida, decided to go skinny dipping in the Bass Pro Shop's massive freshwater fish tank, where they do fishing samples. And I'm sorry, I mean, I'm pretty damn sure I wouldn't jump in to begin with, let alone up in Alabama, where it's much more frigid than South Florida. Ergo, the guy had an innie. Not only that, but as the police were climbing up to retrieve him from the water, he decided to climb out, slipped, fell about 15 feet, flat on the concrete, where he laid still and motionless for a good while. Just damn. And then he's escorted out, sans covering. This guy deserves to be shamed on the internet for the rest of his life, and will be. Just going to say it. But yeah, but her assessment of things was perfect, where she said, I love the fact that a guy with a micro peen has taken all of the attention away from the January 6th anniversary. It perfectly summed it up.
It was beautiful. I gotta give I feel bad for the guy. I have no idea what he was on, And I gotta give him props.
Oh, the
He
dude was
did,
having a good time. I mean, he was like, "Yeah,
but
man,
he
here,
he
let's get it
managed to
down."
do what no one else has managed to do. And that is basically completely overshadowed this whole J6 crap.
This guy was the living embodiment of the George Costanza episode where he's swimming in the ocean and they catch him changing his bathing suit. And it was shrinkage. It was cold. You know, that kind of, this guy, wow. I mean, if you want to keep it political, you could almost say that he had a penile deficit.
Well, okay, so he was obviously a little short of the stick, but like I said, I have no idea. I don't even know what he was on. What would motivate anyone to jump into a tank like that?
I don't know, bucket list, New Year's resolution, crystal meth. I mean, take your pick, any and all.
I'm going with the latter.
He looked kind of happy when he was in the water, though, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, he was quite
he'd
happy.
be in videotape and the cops are showing up. He's like, "Ah, what's up, guys?" But, yeah, this guy's definitely probably going to make the year-end list. I can tell you that in some capacity. He made the news and he eclipsed the big, deep, important news. I swear, the very fact that they're still trying to make this a thing cracks me up. Because, I mean, look at right now. They're trying to kick Donald Trump off the ballots in 2 states because he's guilty of insurrection, something he has not been charged with.
Yeah, he is.
Well, he instigated the insurrection, so therefore he's compulsory. And it's okay, but nobody else has been charged with insurrection. So how did he compel people to do something they haven't been charged with themselves? And that's, that's how desperate all of this crap is. And again, harken back to my year-end stuff. One of my favorite pieces from the AP this year, their style guide. 2 years ago, they rewrote the definition of insurrection. Well, if you go back in journals in the 1800s, dictionaries back then stated anybody that walks into a building under force is insurrection. So this justified them calling it insurrection. Oh, lo and behold, about 2 or 3 instances this year of Democrat and liberals breaking in and protesting inside of the Capitol. Well, we're going to have to change that again. So AP literally put out another guide on the definition of insurrection to counter the previous one that they did that countered the original definition.
That was my favorite. My second favorite thing. My first favorite was Cori Bush telling us how the Democrats, barging into the Capitol was not an insurrection, and this is why. And she started explaining, and I'm going, "No, lady, sorry.
Same thing.
It's the same thing. It's insurrection-y."
Well, the J6 riders were trying to interfere with the political process. Okay, what about the mob that stormed the Capitol in Tennessee and interrupted that process? That's not insurrection, you see, because they really thought they were doing good, so doesn't count.
Nope.
The best is one of those politicians in Tennessee. They were properly censored. The 4, I think it was, that was involved in that mob protest inside the chambers. Put it to a vote, and they were summarily punished by the Capitol. And then they had to take that down because it was so unfair, because those Republicans are picking on them for breaking House rules. So now the GOP legislature went ahead and toughened the rules and stated pretty cleanly that if you interfere with the process of protest capacity out of now the guy that previously got in trouble and is off the hook comes on to say that the Republicans who were writing a rule to prevent a mob, according to the guy that already started a mob, what they're doing is considered mob rule. Again, the politician that instigated a mob is accusing the people making rules against mobs of mob rule. No, that's anti-mob rule, you dumbass. Of course, Nicole Wallace is sitting there. Oh, wow. That is just so deep. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming on Deadline White House. Thank you. That woman cracks me up. And she's got one of the more popular shows on MSNBC. That cracks me up even more. But did you see Mehdi Hassan has departed the network?
You're kidding.
No, I think he announced it on his Sunday program, his last. This will be my last, and this will also be my last appearance on this network.
Oh.
The 14 people watching today are probably going to be heartbroken, and I feel for all 14 of you. He's already been kicked off of 2 programs since the attacks on Israel. This is pretty much a case of basically MSNBC showed him the exit, and he's saying now, I'm going to go walk through that exit.
Okay.
So big loss. Big loss for all of us here. Yes.
Well,
the guy that had his job
bye.
taken away is no longer going to do his job, I guess. That's my read on things. It just kills me. But he won't be there any longer to deliver news about the micro penis, so somebody else will have to take over for that duty.
Well, I think it's kind of tragic. He was entertaining to a certain degree. What is he going to do now? Complain?
Oh, he'll probably get a talk show on Al Jazeera is my guess.
Well.
As predictions go, that's more of a layup. That's his fallback. That's like his backup school in case he doesn't get into Harvard.
I wonder how he felt about the whole William Penn issue. Did he ever say? I don't think he said anything. But
I'm sure he said plenty, but he was not on the air to say it, so you'd have to go to his Twitter account and find it.
Yeah, well, for those of you out there that don't know what was going on, the National Park Service was planning on removing not only the William Penn statue from his house area, the grounds where his house is, and removal of everything there to give that a more inclusive space for the indigenous tribes that lived in the area. And that came actually from the Biden administration, if I read correctly. So people were up in arms about the whole situation. It's almost as if they don't know where the name Pennsylvania came from or why the damn place was founded in the first place. Okay. It was like, and so there was a lot of pushback, to include the governor. Governor Shapiro was very instrumental. He was calling the White House constantly about this issue. He wanted it resolved. He felt that this was just a no-go. You can't do that. And so the National Park Service has since backed away from doing anything to remove anything from that area. But, and I'm just like, well, if they had succeeded, what was next? Changing the name of Pennsylvania? Because that's not outside the realm of possibility anymore. It really isn't. They have gone so far with this whole tearing down of statues and changing the names of military installations, and just doing so many things that I really don't put it past anybody to change the name of a state because they find it not inclusive, and the guy had a slave or something.
They were doing this even at George Washington University. He's problematic, and we need to rethink the naming of our institution. And the people saying this, of course, they're given all manner of latitude and ink space to blather out their opinions like this. But I'm reading about it in the Washington Post, who are uncritical about this proposal. Well, there's some valid points that are being made here because, of course, he was a slave owner. But it's like, you dipshits, look at your masthead, please. Just take a moment.
Okay.
It's really to the point where I do what I do because I love journalism. I've always loved the idea. I mean, we were talking about it the other day, how back in elementary school, we used to get the weekly reader. I was like, this is so cool. I would always absorb it. And I was like, I want to do that someday. Never found a means to do it until, of course, late in life. But nonetheless, the whole reason I trash the press like I do is because I actually enjoy the process of journalism, the ethics, everything involved in it, the research, all of it. It's cool. It's great. Love it. And these dipshits, all they do is piss all over the industry and get rewarded for it. That's the amazing part.
But there's a certain level of pushback that's happening. I know of several places, at least locally, that are looking for seasoned journalists to write, to do that kind of work because they can't trust younger journalists. I mean, the local newspaper in the town that I live in actually conglomerated with two other newspapers. So it's a weekly now. But one of the ladies was telling me that, no, they're not going to hire any new journalists. Like she termed them, people that were graduating in journalism. They don't look for that. They look for people that were reporters and journalists back in the 80s and early 90s, in that age, in that range, so that they'll do actual work.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, wow, actual work with her words. Okay. So, and she told me this when they were shutting down the office here in town, because I stopped by, I was dropping off one of my rocks. And so I went in there to drop it off and I saw that there were a lot of cardboard boxes and stuff like that. So I asked what was going on because, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm going to ask. And that's when they told me what was going on. And they asked if I had any journalism experience because they were looking for somebody. And I said, no, I'm not a writer. And
yes, you are.
I'm not. But not like that. So
you're so lucky I'm not there.
But I asked, it's like, are you looking for reporters and journalists? And they said, yes, but older, seasoned, we are not going to hire anybody out of journalism school now. I mean, seriously, these people were like dead against that. They just didn't want that.
Check to see if they're hiring remotely. I could do some side hustle.
Oh man, I think Dallas was hiring remotely, but I don't think you want anything to do with them.
I don't know, maybe they got the Stars. Panthers be in town a couple times a year,
Yeah, maybe you can get a gig as a sportscaster over there. That would be fun.
Your hockey guy has no idea what he's talking about. Let me take over.
Anyway.
Well, we should wrap here. We're hitting the top of the hour, as it were. I did my research and looked at the clock. I did journalisming.
Yeah, you did. I'll give you proper attribution.
Shit, I swear. I'm like literally bouncing between like livid anger and absolute hilarity and mockery. I go like in a given day, I just go between these two all the time. It's almost like a emotional metronome I'm on when I'm covering this stuff. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like, I can't believe this actually said that. Oh my God. It's like one of these deals. So I consider that balance. It keeps me in check.
Oh, I'm sure.
Proper indignation and then deep, effective risability.
All right, Brad. We're at the top of the hour. So, with proper attribution, where can people find you?
Yes. Well, on a daily basis, you can find me over at townhall.com with my daily column there, riffed from the headlines, doing much of what I did on this episode, for instance, but also at Red State front page there, where I also have my twice weekly podcast called Liable Sources. And if you haven't already, go check things out. I've been putting up what I call the Remy Awards. This is my media recognition of the 2023 outing, where I basically make fun of the very things we've been talking about on this show, the assholes in the media and how they're screwing up their job. So I hand out what I call the Golden Remington. You were just talking about the old school, doing work, shoe leather, reporting, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So I concocted a Golden Remington trophy. I dubbed the Remy to hand out to these dolts and idiots in the media for what they've been doing. Give them proper recognition. Here you go, dipshit. So that's what I've been doing for the last few weeks. And on top of that, you can hear me on this very network. Still a question I haven't heard back from Paul yet about this week. It's either going to be he and I doing Disasters in the Making, where we go through bad movies and Dark Side of Hollywood, or Ordy and I will reprise our Culture Shift episode where we're doing some end of the year stuff in the entertainment realm of things. So either way, it's worth your listen. Head back here on Thursday. Check it out at 8 p.m. Also every Tuesday evening, of course, with the ever effervescent Aggie Reekin on the Cocktail Lounge. And then if you need more of me than that, let's face it, you do. If you head over to Jitter, I am at Martini Shark. How about you, Aggie? Where can people find more of your magnificence?
Well, you can find me at Aggie Beacon and at Aggie the Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can also find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern during the Cocktail Lounge on Tuesday nights with you. 8:30 p.m. Friday nights doing He Said, She Said as of late with our producer Rick. And once a month, I have two once-a-month podcasts now. One is at 8 o'clock, last Wednesday of every month. We do Toxic Masculinity, where I get together with G, Ordy, and Rick, and Andrew. And I serve a drink for the Babe of the Month. And Jeff and I now do our wonderful book podcast, Spirited Books, that is on the second Monday of every month, also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or as Jeff likes to call it, Aggie time. So apparently all of my podcasts are at 8:30. So all but one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is true. It is not mine. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us, and we hope you have a lovely evening.
Go raise a glass and look at the ceiling.